Option number three, what if your data is stored on your Google Drive? I want to show a couple things. Let's, I'll walk you through accessing the data, but just because you access it on a particular folder within your Google Drive doesn't mean you're mapped there. Then I'll show you how to map to that particular drive. Okay, so let's go option 3A, loading data from a Google Drive into Google Colab. Okay, so that we see where our current directory is, we've a couple things we need to do. So let's view the current working directory. And the way we do that is exclamation PWD. And that will tell the current working directly it's in the content. Now, if I were to go to you, this is a temporary area here as well. And this is in hierarchy, we were to come over here, and this particular drive I've not mapped yet or mounted the drive. There's a couple ways we can mount it. You would see it populate over here. Now it'll make sense here shortly. Okay. And so what we need to do is mount the drive, the Google Drive. And so we can either mount it right here, clicking this, or we can type in some syntax. I'll show you. And the way that we do that, the easiest way is just to mount the drive right here. Okay. So we come over here, click, mount the drive, connect to Google Drive, and now we're connected. Okay. And what we can do after, we can use the LS to get a list. And this isn't a temporary, right? So if I were to bring up this particular Google Drive, this is what we would find. Now I'm only in the temporary, so I'm not in the drive yet. I'm in Google Drive, and to further map this, let me demonstrate. Let's do this. So in this case, this is showing a list of what is in this particular drive. And if I were to take you right here, here is this drive, right? So workshops unpublished. So I'm in my drive right now. So if we were to look at these particular folders, we could dive deeper into them. It's giving us a list of them. It's alphabetized. Okay. And so what if I wanted to go to what's in Sandbox and put some data files in Sandbox? So if I go ls, let me borrow this code. And let's go Sandbox. Here are some data files that are loaded. Okay. We can attach from this folder structure right here. So if I go to Sandbox, these files, we can attach a file from the Google Drive into our Colab notebook and as sign as a data frame. Okay, so let's do it. Let's map to blank folder within my drive folder. So if you notice, I did not use an underscore with my drive. There's a space in it, right? So if you come up here, you can see there's a space. And so you just use the same characters here. And so what we got going, so if my data set path equals sandbox like so, we can do the same thing, right? So I'm going to assign this to an object, and then we can print. So we can see it. And then if we wanted to, now here's an important part. So we're going to see this, but we're still not mapped to it. If we want to load data from here, what we need to do is add that file on the end of this. Okay. The way we do that, I would encourage you to update this dataset path like so. The CSV file. So here's our dataset path equal. Okay. But we need to include the file. So in this case, let's bring in let's use the used cars. This one right here. Okay. So we'll do slash used cars USA dot CSV. And from here, let's load it using pandas. We already have it, right? Load the CSV. I'll use this because of the way that the syntax is. And then let's go df, we'll call this df3 since we already have a df2. df3 equals pd read in the CSV file. And then instead of the file now, we're going to use this dataset path. Okay. And then we'll display it. And there we go. So we have loaded this file, right? Used car, right here. Okay. And then we can see that right here. Toyota Cruiser 2008. Toyota Cruiser 2008. So we've loaded the data now in the Colab. If we wanted to do descriptives on it, we could do that too. So df3. Okay. And so we can kind of get some early preliminary data. Almost finished, right? So again, this is mapped to the data, but we're not, no, excuse me, this is not mapped to the data. What this is extracting and importing data from a folder, but if we do any updating or want to save it here, it won't, it's going to be on the content. And it's hard for you to see the content. It can be, okay? And so let's go back here. Right here, right? So here's home, here's Untitled 5. So if I were to change this, let's call this upload data. Eventually it will update here, okay? Let's see. There it is, finally updated, okay? So we've uploaded data to Colab. That's our name of our notebook here. All right, so last thing, let's map it to this particular folder. We'll map to uh, the sandbox. What we need to do is first, let's import the OS library, okay? Let's go. Just so we can know where we're at, okay, within Google Drive, beyond the default with content. Okay, let's import. Let's import OS. And now, if we want to hit our current working directory, okay, this is a really useful library. Or yeah, we can see we're in content. Even though we went all the way through up here, folks, that's just we just identified a file within our folder. We're again mapping will put us into. We'll get beyond the content folder. Okay, and so let's change to a different folder using OSCHDIR. This also works for Jupyter notebooks. Okay. And let's call this, we'll go to sandbox. So we're going to copy and paste this. And it doesn't matter if you're using double or single quotes. Okay. And so this will be the path to the data set that we want to map to. And then we're going to change it OS CHDIR and then path to a data set. Okay. And now if we want to confirm a directory, to confirm a directory remapping to a different folder, we can use OS get CWD again. We can see right here, we're now in the sandbox. Okay, and so like I told you earlier, we use the LS. See what a list of files or a list of folders and okay, and files both. So we want to view the contents in a particular area. List of files with, let's do ls, like so, in the uh, mapped destination. We can now see these files are here. And so if we want to import, let's call this DF5, we don't have to use the lengthy address like this anymore because we're mapped here now, okay? And so if I do PD read and CSV, let's bring in, how about Tough Sport CSV? So if I bring in, and then call the DF5, we now see we've imported this. And we can do further analytics on it as well. Okay. And the further analytics being DF5, just for as a preview, DF5.describe. Okay. So this concludes an overview of 3 different options for importing data into Colab. I'd say the easiest is if you pull it locally, okay, all the way up here, using this particular syntax from google.colab import files, upload equal files.upload. Once you run that, it gives you the menu option or the option to basically find anywhere on your computer. Okay, if you don't have the file located on your computer, it's in your drive. You'll have to map to it, or the easier way would be download it locally. Okay. If it's not on your drive, if maybe it's from, like I said, a repo repository, just make sure that you get the link to the actual raw data. Again, this code does not work for a private folder. It only works for publicly accessible data. So know that when you're going to import a URL address for data analysis. All right, that's all I've got. Thanks.